Namaste and welcome to Vinyasa Flow Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua. For today's hip-focused, more specifically bringing the hips into external rotation practice, please grab a couple of blocks, strap, and a blanket. Let's begin in a comfortable seated position in which you may like to prop your sitting bones on top of your folded blanket. Let's start with the thighs turned out in front of you in some version of Sukhasana, which means easy pose. So deciding how close together or far apart you cross your shins. Closer together can be more easeful, and farther apart, more demanding on the hips. And then take a moment to root down your left and right sitting bones as equally as you can, lengthening through the center of the spine. Allow your shoulders to soften back and down as you lift through the back of the skull. Take a moment to mentally arrive. So in Tuesday's practice, we highlighted the second niyama, which is the second limb of the 8 limbs of yoga. And the second niyama is called santosha, which means contentment. I want to pair that up with the mindfulness attitude as described by Jon Kabat-Zinn called acceptance, as santosha and acceptance go hand in hand. Sometimes we also call it a mindful practice, befriending. So, quick little story how I found myself practicing this the other day. I usually go on trail runs, and I had so many things to do after work besides go on my trail run, which I use as both a form of exercise and meditation and to connect with nature. Usually my run lasts for an hour or a little more than an hour, and I pick and choose among just several trails that I know the mileage of. So I started my run and I felt anxious. I was thinking, okay, an hour long, I've got so many things to do. Can I just squeeze this in and get going? And I found myself in this resistance of where I was, interestingly, though I do it for fun too. And catching myself in that attitude of wanting to rush through, not wanting to accept that my run was going to take an hour pretty much. Even if I ran a little faster, it would still be about that much. I finally realized, hey, I'm here. Why don't I fully be here and accept that's how long it's going to take? So why not let go of the anxiety that comes with wanting to be somewhere else? And I think that's so much of both what santosha and mindful acceptance mean. You don't have to like what's coming up for you in the moment, but can you be with whatever it is? And in that sense, we're letting go of the resistance. We're letting go of the I should be somewhere else, or I've got better things to do, right? You committed to being here in your yoga practice. Why not fully be here? Put the phone aside, don't worry about who's texting, and just totally immerse yourself so you can really get the most out of it. So I believe that that's what one of the biggest teachings of acceptance and santosha can give us, is to really embody our human form. So many times our mind can be somewhere else, yet our body is right here. And so it's that bringing that alignment, which is yoga, between body, mind, spirit, awareness. So let's start now doing that by checking in with what we're experiencing in our different layers. Begin to notice your physical body, any sensations that might stand out at first. Could be an ache, a pulsing, an openness, any kind of feeling in the body. And then from there, invite curiosity in observing other parts of the body, little by little scanning from one end to another. And noticing your overall physical state as you're beginning your asana yoga, your physical yoga. Sense the movement of the breath without having to change how you're breathing. Bring that curiosity to how you're experiencing the breath. What qualities can you feel about it? And in that way, learning more about what kind of energy you're working with right now. Notice your state of mind and heart, how you're feeling mentally and emotionally. Accepting whatever that is as it is, finding a sense of peace, santosha. Now let's start to slow the breath down, inviting the inhale through the nostrils, into the lungs, into the belly, and then letting it all go, maybe with a sigh through the mouth. Breathing in a little slower, maybe feeling the expansion in the back of your torso or in the pit of your belly. And feel free to release any sound as you empty it through the mouth. Once again, breathing in a little bit deeper without straining, feeling the fullness at the very top of the in-breath. Taking your time to empty every last bit of air from the lungs. Another way to practice santosha is through gratitude. What is something right now you can recognize in your life through the lens of appreciation? Now begin to clarify your intention for your practice today, your personal prayer, what you are inviting in or cultivating. Broadening our perspective and recognizing that we are all connected to each other. Imagine someone that you would like to dedicate your practice to, extending the benefits out beyond ourselves. And together, let's join our voices, creating resonance by chanting Om 3 times. Inhale a little deeper. As we continue to slow down the breath, let's also start to balance the in with the out, creating a fluid whispering sound by gently narrowing the back of the throat as we close the lips, if you can, just breathing through the nose. So this is a practice called Ujjayi Pranayama, which means victorious breathing, meant to calm, focus, and balance your energy, your mind, and your body. So listen to that rhythm you're creating in the sound of the breath as a way to also align your mind, your awareness to the present moment. And let's start to move to that breath. So come on down to hands and knees, tabletop. Spread your fingers flat at the top of the mat. Stack the shoulders over your wrists, step the knees under the hips. And let's start to circle out the right leg at the hip. So breathing in as you rotate the leg out, and breathing out as you rotate it in, or just any direction, just moving slowly, letting the breath pace you. If you want to even straighten the leg or stretch it out or take a few movements like cat-cow pose as you move that right leg, feel free to explore however your body wants to. Begin warming up your right hip socket. And then switch sides. Circling the left thigh bone at the hip in all directions, breathing in and breathing out. Notice the sensation surrounding your left hip socket, around your inner thigh, your groins, your outer hip, outer thigh. And then start to make your way into downward facing dog. Spread the fingers a little flatter, lift the hips high, and allow a few more organic movements, just tuning into how your body might need to loosen up. You might pedal the feet in place. You might add to that swiveling the hips side to side, maybe shaking out the head. Let's warm up the shoulders a bit, creating stability. Start to find stillness in downward facing dog and rotate your outer upper arms towards the ground, spreading the shoulder blades wide across the back ribs. Drop your head, soften your neck, and lift the shoulder blades onto your back ribs. Now firm in the belly. And on your next inhale, glide forward into plank pose, stacking the shoulders over the wrists. Whether legs are straight or knees are on the ground. Now think of just lowering 1/4 of the way down. As you exhale, come forward, hug the elbows towards the ribs, and just lower half of halfway to chaturanga. Inhale, press up to plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. So that's to wake up the serratus anterior region of the shoulders. Let's try 2 more rounds to the breath. Inhale forward, shoulders over the wrists. Exhale, come further forward and lower 1/4 of the way down. Draw the elbows in, engage the belly. Inhale, press up to plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Once more. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, come forward and lower 1/4. Inhale, press up. Exhale, downward dog. Walk your feet to the top of your mat in Uttanasana. Forward fold. With the feet parallel, hips width apart, bend your knees and reach your hands behind your lower back to clasp. If you can, hug the heels of the palms together as you breathe in. Lift your chest forward, roll the shoulders back. Breathing out, keep leaning forward and drop your head completely, stretching the arms away from your lower back. Lift the shoulder heads away from your neck. And feel free to bend the knees as much as you might need so that you're not adding tension in which you're rounding the back. Let the arms fall, let the torso hang. And as you breathe in, roll up slowly like you're stacking one vertebra at a time. Rolling the shoulders back and down. Join your hands in prayer at your heart center in mountain pose. Tap into the feeling tone or bhavanam of your intention you're cultivating. And let's bring gratitude into our breath-led movement as we literally offer it to the sun. Sun salutation, C. Inhale, sweep the arms forward and roll your shoulders back and down. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips. Plant your fingertips on the earth. Inhale, step the left knee behind you. Kneeling lunge, look up. Holding your breath, step into plank pose. As you exhale, lower the knees, then the chest. Then lower the chin, Ashtangasana. Inhale, slide forward, and take a gentle cobra pose. Soften the shoulders back. Exhale, press the ground away and lift the hips into downward facing dog. Inhale, step the left foot beside your left thumb. Lower your right knee and look up. Exhale, step the right foot forward and fold. Press through your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, arriving in a gentle back bend. Exhale, marry your palms at your heart center. Side 2 of Surya Namaskar C. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow forward, Uttanasana. Lower your fingertips. Inhale, step the right knee back this time and look up. Hold your breath as you step to plank. Exhale, lower knees, then chest, then chin. Inhale, slide forward, entering cobra pose, Bhujangasana. Exhale, tuck your toes and lift the hips into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, step the right foot beside your right thumb, lower your left knee and look up. Exhale, step the left foot forward and fold. Rooting down, inhale, rise into Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, join your hands in Padasana. Let's continue to warm up. Sun salutation A. Inhale, sweep the arms forward, drop the shoulders back. Exhale, bow forward. This time, press your fingertips on your shins, blocks, or the floor, and inhale, lengthen your spine forward into half forward fold. Carefully step to plank, and as you exhale, lower knees, chest, chin, or glide forward and graze your elbows by your ribs through Chaturanga Dandasana. Then choose cobra or upward facing dog as you breathe in. Exhale to downward facing dog and let your body be still for 2 deep breaths. By resting your gaze on one focal point, invite your mind to a steadiness. When you've emptied the second breath, walk or float to the front of your mat, forward fold. Press with your hands, inhale, half forward fold, or Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Press with your feet, inhale, root down to rise, lifting your heart towards the sun. Exhale, join your palms in prayer at heart center. Let's try that again. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen forward. Either step to plank or float lightly into Chaturanga Dandasana. Continue at your pace through your Vinyasa. Let's meet in downward dog. 2 deep breaths. When you've emptied the second, walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands in prayer. Let's prepare for sun salutation B by stepping your feet together so that the inner edges of your big toes touch. Preparing for chair pose. On your next in-breath, bend your knees together to touch and sit low, leaning back towards your heels in Utkatasana, chair pose. As you exhale, shift your weight forward and hinge from your hips, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Step or float to Chaturanga or knees, chest, chin. Follow your breath pace through your Vinyasa. Now this time when you arrive in downward dog, inhale, sweep the right leg behind you. Exhale, softly step the foot beside your right thumb and spin your left heel down. Inhale, rise into warrior one. Then ride your exhalation all the way down into your vinyasa. When you get to downward dog, inhale, lift the left leg back. Exhale, gently step the foot beside your left thumb and spin your right heel down. Inhale, rise to Virabhadrasana 1. Ride your exhalation into your version of your vinyasa. And this time, letting your body be still in downward dog. Stay for about 3 to 5 breaths as you're slowing down the breath. Check in with your body, remembering that you are in charge of your body. There's so many variations to each pose. You've got your props you could explore, and you could always opt out whenever you might need to rest. So make sure you're tuning in to what you personally need in this practice. If your breath feels calm, steady, and balanced, empty it, then walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat with feet touching. Inhale, half forward fold. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale to rise. Let's take it through one last, Surya Namaskar B. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Step or float, take it through your vinyasa. From downward dog, inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale the foot forward. Inhale, Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale into your vinyasa. When you get there, side 2. Inhale, raise the left leg. Exhale the foot forward. Inhale, Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, lower vinyasa. Pause, slowing down your breathing, observing what's present for you in this moment, and can you be with it in its entirety, just as it is. When you're ready to empty the breath, then walk or float to the front of your mat. Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale, Padasana. All right, let's step the feet apart again, hips distance, parallel. And this time bring your hands to your hips as we prepare to stretch the outer wrists in Padahastasana. As you breathe in, roll your shoulders back, look up. As you breathe out, hinge forward from your hips and feel free to bend your knees as much as you might need to reach, slipping the palms face up under the soles of your feet so that your toes can meet the inner creases of your wrists. Now, keeping your hands under, tilt forward, and inhale, press your heart through the gates of your arms. Exhale, drop your head and fold in. Let your head hang loose, maybe shake and nod it out. And try to lift your shoulder bones to create more space in your neck. If you're clenching in the jaw, you might take a few big lion's breaths, stretching the mouth wide as you sigh, or you might flutter your lips a few times. Sense how your energy feels at this point of your practice. And choosing with discernment as you accept what is, either take another vinyasa, a few rounds of cat-cow, or step directly into downward facing dog, where we'll meet. Now, when you arrive in downward dog, listen carefully. Inhale, rotate your right thigh bone externally or turn it out at the hip. As you exhale, flex the right foot and cross the ankle above your left knee on your left thigh. As you inhale, press the ground away with both hands and lift your sitting bones further back equally. As you exhale, bend your right knee towards your nose and round into plank, softly stepping the foot directly between the hands. Spin the back heel down and inhale, cartwheel the arms into warrior two. Right away, rest your gaze, perhaps on the space that's just in front of your right fingertips, to help you tune your attention inward. Feel the flow of your breath. Bending your right knee just above the right heel. Firm the outer edge of your left foot into the ground. Feel the external rotation of your right thigh bone at the hip as you splay your right knee to point towards your right pinky toe. To keep the pelvis balanced, also firm the top of your left thigh bone back. Relaxing your shoulders down right above the hips. Imagine breathing wide across your heart center and wingspan. Straighten the right leg for triangle. Maybe shorten your stance a couple inches. Glide your hips sideways towards your rear wall as you lengthen your torso towards the front. Lower your right fingertips lightly, either on your right shin or just to the right of the shin on a block or the floor, in which you can maintain the same slow, even breath. Continue to roll the right outer hip beneath you. Tack the crease of the right hip back towards your left outer heel, while you lengthen the top of your head forward, sliding the shoulders away from the neck. With the left arm straight up, spin your chest slightly to face the sky. Once again, focusing your eyes softly in one spot. Let's tune into 2 last breaths here in Trikonasana. Pressing through both feet, inhale, rise through warrior two. Keep the right knee bent, flip the right palm to face up. Exhale, side bend towards the rear wall in peaceful warrior. Allow another deep breath here before you exhale your hands to the ground and take a vinyasa, cat-cow, or step right into downward facing. Downward facing dog. Inhale, turn out your left thigh bone at the hip socket. Exhale, flex the left foot and cross the ankle above your right knee. Inhale, press the ground away with your hands and lift your sitting bones equally back. Exhale, bend the left knee towards the nose. Rounding into plank, step the foot gently between the hands. Spin the right heel down and inhale, cartwheel the arms into Virabhadrasana 2. Right away, set your gazing point. Feel the flow of your breath. Bending your left knee just above the heel. Firm the outside edge of your right foot into the earth. Wrapping your left outer hip beneath you. Firm the top of your right thigh bone back. Allow your shoulders to rest down right above the hips. And deepen the breath wide across your wingspan. Straighten the left leg. Maybe shorten your stance a couple inches for triangle pose. Glide your hips sideways towards your rear wall as you lengthen the torso towards the front wall. Lower your left fingertips slightly on your left shin or just to the left of it, maybe on a block. Deciding how high to land that hand in which you can maintain the same slow, calm breath. And you can continue to lengthen the left underside of your torso. Spin your chest slightly to face the sky. Couple more deep breaths in Trikonasana. Rooting down through both feet. Inhale into warrior two again. Keep the left knee bent, flip the left palm to face up. Exhale, peaceful warrior, side bending towards the rear wall. Stay here for one inhale. And exhale your hands to the floor. Optional vinyasa or rest. We'll meet in downward facing. This time, walk your hands back to meet your feet, folding over your legs at the rear of your mat. Press into your shins or the ground and inhale, lengthen your spine forward. Exhale, fold in. Heel toe your feet together to touch. And inhale, bend the knees into chair pose. This time, join your hands in prayer. Let's start to twist. Now, as you keep the pelvis still, as you exhale, begin to rotate your ribcage to your right side. As you breathe in, keep lengthening the spine, maintaining that your heart is higher than your hips, unless you're opting to go into twisting side crow or crow pose. So draw the left outer hip back, spiral your ribcage towards the right wall and sky. Let the shoulders relax away from the neck. Focus on the sound of your breathing. In this moment, how might you integrate the practice of both mindful acceptance of where you are, what's happening now, and santosha, contentment? One more deep breath. In Parita Utkatasana. See if you can sit a little lower as you inhale the arms up in chair. Then exhale, rise up to stand. Keep your hands in prayer and shift your weight onto your left foot. Turn out your right thigh bone at the hip. And I'm not going to mirror you here, so don't get confused. And hug the sole of your right foot against your inner left ankle, calf, or thigh. Tree pose. Now notice how your right thigh bone is externally rotating at the hip. Draw your right sitting bone downward towards your inner left heel. Press the four corners of your left foot into the ground to lift up through your center line. If your balance feels pretty stable, maybe raise your arms. Maybe close the eyes. That often makes it a dancing tree for me. Vrikshasana, last couple deep breaths. And set your right foot to meet the left. Padasana. Full breath in. Let it go. So you know the sequence of where we're going on the second side. Can you be exactly in the moment in which your breath is? Here we go. Feet together, knees together. Inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale to the left, begin to twist. Keeping each knee equidistant to the front edge of your mat. Try not to turn the pelvis, stabilize the lower back, but instead rotate your rib cage little by little, keeping your heart higher than your hips. The breath is such a powerful support in practicing mindful acceptance and santosha, contentment. One more full breath here in Parita Utkatasana. If you can, sit a little lower. Inhale, raise the arms in Utkatasana. Exhale, rise up, Padasana. Shift your weight onto your right foot. And again, I'm not going to mirror you here. Turn out the left thigh at the hip. Feel that external rotation. Draw the left sitting bone down towards your inner right heel as you hug the sole of your left foot against your inner right ankle, calf, or thigh. Think of sandwiching your midline energetically. So your standing leg also hugs back into the sole of the foot. Feel the ground and press into it. Rooting down to lift energy up, rooting to rise. What variations are available for you to explore for the last few breaths in Vrikshasana? And set the left foot to meet the right. Padasana, deep breath. Clear it out. Let's step the feet apart a little wider than hips distance. And from both hips, externally rotate both thighs. Bend your knees apart and find your version of a squat. Now you could stack your blocks to sit on. If your heels do not easily meet the ground, take your folded blanket, place it behind you like this, and step your heels onto that folded edge of the blanket for Achilles support. Let your pelvis sink. You can use your elbows to help splay apart your inner thighs while lifting your sternum towards your thumbs. Roll your shoulders back and down. You might opt to stay here in Malasana for a few breaths, or add another twist. Cross one arm in front of you, raise the opposite arm, maybe bind. If you're twisting, take a few breaths on each side on your own. If you're itching for an arm balance, which we are going to practice one soon, but here's another one. You can come into crow if that's part of your practice. Few more deep breaths. And choosing your own route. Let's all eventually meet in downward facing dog. Arriving in downward dog. Inhale, raise your right leg behind you. Exhale, bend the knee and rotate the thigh bone externally at the hip. Stay here as you inhale, tack the left outer hip back. Then exhale, cross the right shin in front of your pelvis, arriving in single pigeon pose. We're not cooling down just yet. We're going to be here shortly. So if you needed, place a prop under your right glute to help keep your hips squared, and either choose to stay upright. You can bring the hands in Victory Mudra or fold forward for just a few more deep breaths. All right, start to gently step into downward facing dog, raising the right leg up again as you might move it around at the hip or flip it over into a back bend if your shoulders feel stable for Wild Thing. Lifting the belly, the pelvis, and dropping the head back. When you're ready for side 2 of single pigeon, come back to downward facing dog. Tune into the breath. Then inhale, raise the left leg behind you. Exhale, bend the knee and turn out your left thigh at the hip. Staying here, inhale, tack your right outer hip back. Then exhale, cross the left shin in front of your pelvis, lowering to sit in single pigeon pose. Square both hips to face the front of your mat, and maybe use a prop under the left glute if that helps. See if you might match how you practice your arms in the first side of this pose, staying for just a few more deep breaths. Take your time coming back to downward facing dog, raising your left leg and giving it some movement at the hip. If you did so on the first side and your shoulders feel up for it, you might flip it over into Wild Thing here. Let's meet back in downward facing dog before you walk or float your feet to the top of your mat. From a forward fold, set your 2 blocks on their tallest height in front of your feet. Then bend your knees, feet together, back to chair pose. Join your hands in prayer and turn out your right thigh at the hip. Flex your right foot and cross your right ankle over your left thigh like a figure 4 shape. Draw your sitting bones as evenly as you can behind you and maybe lower, gauging the belly, breathe. Keep the hands here or raise them up or set them on the blocks if your hips are willing. There's an option for flying single pigeon, an arm balance. If you're feeling that, flexing that right foot still, place your hands flat on the floor, a foot ahead of your left toes. Look ahead of your fingertips on the ground and lift the pelvis, carrying that right shin to land across the upper arms, wrapping the left tricep with your right top of the foot. As you bend the elbows back like chaturanga, keep the arms parallel. And as you shift the weight forward, extending the left leg behind you, flying single pigeon. Whatever version of this hip opening balance pose, tune into a few more breaths. Then take it in reverse through the steps we just took. Back to figure four chair, rising up, mountain pose. Imagine you could breathe in through the soles of your feet, filling up your whole body. Deeply inhale. Open the mouth, any sound, clear it out. Close the lips again. Inhale back to chair. Join your hands and shift your weight to your right foot. Turn out the left thigh at the hip. Flex the left foot and cross the ankle above your right thigh. Figure four shape. Draw your sitting bones evenly back and maybe lower. So explore, what did you do with your arms on the first side? Is that possible here? See what's available. When you're ready, back to figure four, chair pose, and up to mountain pose. Once again, imagine breathing in through the soles of your feet, filling up your whole body. Open the mouth, any sound, let it go. Let's lower to sit at the center of your mat, coming into our last few back bends, starting with bridge pose. So set your feet hips width apart, parallel to each other. If you want to support your lower back a little more, grab a block. Hug the skinniest width or the middle width between the knees and thighs, and then lower onto your back. Bring the arms down by your sides, grounding your shoulders, tilt your chin slightly back. Slide your feet towards your hands until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips. Root down evenly through your inner and outer feet. Then inhale, start to lift the hips. Staying for 5 to 7 full breaths with the hips lifted. Walk your upper arms closer together under your back ribs. Keep your arms straight, and if your hands happen to meet, you might interlace your fingers. Press the outer sides of your upper arms into the earth to broaden and lift your chest, while keeping your thighs parallel to each other. Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, bridge pose. When you decide to lower, use a slow exhalation to carefully set one vertebra at a time, tailbone last onto the ground. And when you've lowered, just rest for 2 to 3 breaths. Observe how your body feels, and we'll go up one last time in bridge pose. When you're ready, press down to your shoulders and feet, and inhale to lift up. Take it on your own for 5 to 7 deep breaths. So as you keep your feet still, parallel to each other, don't actually move your feet, but bring the energy as if you're dragging your heels back towards your glutes while you actively stretch the fronts of your thighs forward. Keeping the thighs parallel, spin your inner thighs slightly towards the ground. A little internal rotation, the opposite of what we've been doing much of. And then continue to breathe wide across your heart space. We'll meet resting on the ground for a few deep breaths. For our last back bend, choose to either practice upward facing bow, where you flip the palms face down alongside your ears and keep the elbows no wider apart than shoulders distance as you lift up. This is if this is a normal part of your practice. We didn't really break it down, so. Otherwise, roll onto your belly, rest your forehead on the ground, and prepare for bow pose, Dhanurasana. For bow, bend your knees and catch your feet or ankles behind you with your hands. Kick your feet away as you pull them towards you, coiling the chest up, lifting the knees, no wider than hips width apart for 5 to 7 breaths. And whether you're on your back or your belly, when you're done, just let your body rest. Tune in, observe, breathe. Take your time to eventually lift your body up to sit, bringing your legs in front of you for a seated spinal twist. Start by straightening your left leg forward, bend your right knee and set the foot on the ground just in front of your right hip. Set up here or cross the foot outside of your left knee, or also bend the left knee. Choose the one that allows you to sit tall and to evenly ground both sitting bones. Backstroke the right hand behind the pelvis. Raise your left arm and press into the earth to rise up as you breathe in. Exhale, keep the pelvis still and start twisting to your right. Lower your left arm to hold your right leg or hook the elbow outside the thigh. A few more deep breaths. On your next exhalation, keep the cross of your legs and unwind your spine. Let's set up the legs in cow face pose, Gomukhasana. Either hug your thighs closer together and splay your feet wider apart, or straighten the bottom leg forward and flex the foot. Let's bring the arms into eagle pose, Garudasana, counterbalancing the back bends. Bend your elbows apart and cross the left elbow over the right. Either hook your thumbs or wrap your forearms in palms. Relaxing the shoulders down, sit a little taller and breathe in. Either stay right here or as you exhale, start to hinge forward from your hips for a few more breaths. Rooting down through your pelvis, imagine leading from your heart. Inhale, start to lift the chest and rise all the way up. Backstroke your arms, stretch out the legs. And see if you can set up similarly as you did in your first side of the twist. Step the left foot on the ground in front of the hip or cross it outside of the knee. Maybe bend the right knee too. Backstroke your left hand behind your pelvis, raise your right arm, root into the earth and rise as you breathe in. Begin to turn your rib cage to the left as you breathe out. Lowering your right arm, hold the leg or hook the elbow outside of it. Breath by breath, explore the range of your spinal twist. On your next exhale, keep the cross of your legs and unravel your spine. Either hug your thighs closer together and splay your feet wider apart, or straighten the bottom leg and flex the foot for Gomukhasana. Bend the elbows apart, cross the right elbow over the left, and hook your thumbs or wrap your forearms in palms for Garudasana. As you breathe in, soften the shoulders down and lengthen up through the back of your skull. Stay here, or as you breathe out, little by little hinge forward from your hips. to your pelvis. Inhale, rise from the chest. Backstroke your arms and straighten both legs for stick pose. Separate your feet hips width apart. Flex your feet and press the insteps forward to create a slight internal rotation of the thighs to broaden the lower back. Then from your outer hips towards your midline and lift the spine, relaxing the shoulders back and down. Now as we come into a forward fold, you could opt to use a strap around the balls of your feet as an extension of your arms, or walk your hands down the backs of the legs. Breathe in, sit up a little taller. Keep your chest slightly lifted as you breathe out to fold little by little from your hips. Another option is to clasp your big toes, if you can do so without rounding the shoulders and back. Paschimottanasana. Last few deep breaths. You might increase the length of your exhales a little longer than the inhales to invite deeper relaxation. You might also breathe out through the mouth to cool down. One last breath here. Rooting down through your hips, breathe in and lead with your chest to rise. Please find a comfortable way to sit for one more pranayama before we rest in Shavasana and prepare to sit for meditation. Invite you into Samavriti pranayama, or box breathing, a grounding, calming breathing technique that helps to bring clarity of mind. You might place your hands in a mudra to support the feeling of grounding, which is bringing the thumb and first fingers to touch and resting your palms face down on your lap. As you sit tall, relax the body and maybe close the eyes. Closing the lips, breathing softly and sustained, I'll count to 4 or from 4 as we breathe in. We'll hold the breath in for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts, and hold the breath out for 4 counts. And that's one cycle. Let's practice 3 cycles together and continue 3 cycles on your own before we let go of controlling the breath. Then see how you feel. When you're holding the breath, try to relax. Here we go. Empty this breath. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Cycle 2, inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Cycle 3, inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. Continue 3 more cycles on your own. When you're finished, let go of controlling the breath. Notice how you feel. And then slowly lower your body to the floor. Find a comfortable way to lie down and be still. resting for a few minutes in Shavasana with eyes closed, breathing naturally, and being present in your body. Letting your eyes remain closed. Sense the way your physical body feels now. Start with a subtle movement, like turning your head slowly or rubbing your thumbs across your fingertips. Begin to wake up your body little by little. Ease into a simple stretch. And eventually turn over onto your right side and rest your head. Allow a few moments there to observe your breathing. Notice how your energy feels now. When you're ready, press into the ground and gently lift your body up. Find a comfortable way to sit in which you can feel grounded, open, and relaxed for 5 minutes sitting in meditation. You might close the eyes or steady a gaze downcast. And allow a moment to let your awareness settle into the bottom of your body, the parts of the body that make contact with the surface below. Sensing the length and volume of your legs. Feeling whatever sensations are happening in your pelvis, your hips. And practicing santosha and acceptance with what you observe, just as it is. Take your time to continue mindfully scanning up your body. Staying a few moments in each part to be with whatever feelings are happening there. Take your time completing your body scan. And when you do, I invite you to bring the same observation to the thoughts that might arise. What happens in your mind, where your awareness goes. Can you bring the same mindful acceptance to whatever you discover is happening in your mind? Not adding to the thought, not ignoring it, but just letting it be as it is. Observe what unfolds without entangling in it. Notice how your mind and heart feel now. Now, what is something you can recognize with gratitude in this new moment? Remember the intention you set for this practice. And remember to whom you dedicated this practice. Let's close together as we chant once again 3 ohms. Feel the resonance that you're both giving and receiving. Let in a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.